It's no secret that the Skool community has taken the world by storm. There are many new communities popping up every single day, and there are communities in a variety of different topics, categories, and niches. If I go to the Skool homepage here, there are languages, there's a spirituality, there's a business, there's a cars, beauty and fashion. So all these different categories that has communities in it. And the list goes on and on. You can even filter by public, private, free, paid. And this presents a lot of opportunities if you run a business in any of these markets, because while some of these are free, there are also those that are charging a lot of money. There are those that are charging hundreds. There are those that are charging even, I saw one which was like over $1,000 a month, I believe. Anyway, the point is that even if you are running a free community, you can get people in, you can show them what you can offer, and ascend them to something that is paid, that has different levels of paid memberships. So there's a lot that can be done by doing the research and then eventually building your own community. But what if you wanted to have an automated way to keep track of different communities, their prices, their number of members, and other key details? And this is what I'm going to show you how to do using Make.com here. So over here, I have an Airtable with 3 communities, just for the sake of this example. And what I have is a different table for each of these groups. And what I am able to do is that every day I can run this, so I can run an automation that goes into the specific communities, or rather their home pages, and scrapes their information. And it finds out the number of members on that particular day, the price, and it's also able to get more information if I wanted it to, because there's a bunch of information that you can get from the homepage of each of these communities. So if I were to go here, German Skool, I can see that it has 1.6 thousand members. It's free to join. This is the creator. There's the video there. There's the description. So there's a bunch of stuff that you can pull from this homepage. And if you were to do this manually, that is definitely something that you could do. You could go here every single day, grab the information, and throw it in an Airtable. But what I'm going to show you here is this automation that searches for all the information I have here in the community name. So it grabs the URL, then it grabs the information from that homepage URL. It passes it through a Claude or a ChatGPT large language model. It passes the information, and then it tries the information to Airtable. So over here, then I would get on the 15th, for example, this community is free, so the price is 0, and there was a decrease of 70 members between those 2 days. So if I go here, action taker, I can see there's 2.1 members, 2.1K members, and yeah, 15 online, 50 admins. So over time, I can also track what is happening with that specific community. So I know that this community is losing members, which is great for me if I want to look at the data and see where things are at. So this is what this automation will teach you how to do, and what this video will be all about. So how do we actually build this? It's actually pretty simple. So let's start from scratch. And I'm also going to create a database from scratch as well, so I can show you how I would actually do it. Let me just shift some things around here. So let's put that there. Let's put this there. And I think we're ready to go. So table. All right, awesome. So what we need here is, first of all, we need a list of all the communities that we're going to be looking at. So this will be the master list, so to speak, where all the information will be stored. So let's call this master, or let's call this communities or community. We can have it be a short text, and then we need to have the URL for the community. What I also would like to do here is add details, just in case we need to add some information about this. We want to scrape the description of the group, which in my case isn't that important, but it might be useful. So this would be the master list. And over here, what we want to do is create another table, which will serve for each community that we will have. This can be done through a Make.com automation if we want to improve this even more. So we can say that as soon as we add a new row here, we can grab the community name and add a new table. So if we go to the automation sections here, you can say when a record is created in the table master list, then we can do something. One thing we can do would be to run a script. For example, we could create new records, we could update records, we can send emails. If we don't find anything that is in here that is natively available through Airtable automations, we could run a script, which then speaks to Make.com, which then speaks to the API of Airtable. So that could be one way to create new tables. And if we were to look at API Airtable documentation, you will see that, not the one I'm looking for, API. You see that we can do a bunch of stuff right here. If I manage to move this. So here, getting started, and then there are the things that you can do. So Airtable, API, create table. So here you can create tables in a specific base with that ID, and then you create a table. So all you need to do is pass the base ID, and through the API, you can create different tables in your database as well. So that is beyond the scope of this video, but know that it is also possible to automatically create additional tables here. Going back to this, what we want to have here is a table for each community. So let's go back to Skool.com. And let's grab this bulletproof cycling club. So here I'm going to, I think it redirects to about, okay. So if I go back to my Airtable, that's the URL. The community name is going to be this, longevity of motion. And again, in details, if I wanted to, I could put that. So I can review details later on. Then I'm going to create a new table, which is going to be called longevity of motion. And in this table, I'm going to put just some key details. So I will have date, which will be of type date. I'm going to put the members, which should be a number. And I'm going to put the price. Because in my case, I'm just interested in numbers and prices. So that's pretty much it. If I were to add something else here, I would just add it as a separate entry. And then let's go with Porsche URL. Let's grab that and put it there. And let's grab this. Let's put that there. So now all we need to do is, again, I'm doing this manually, but you can also automate this part where you're creating that information. What I want to do next is build the automation in Make.com. And this is what it will look like. So first, I'm just going to grab the stuff I have in my Airtable, which means that I need to grab this and the URL, or rather the URL, because this will be the URL I will need to download and make. So here, I'm just going to go to Airtable. I'm going to go to search, and I'm going to find my database, which I call Skool Tracker BT. Oh yeah, Skool Tracker BT. I'm going to go to my table, which is the master list, and I'm going to grab everything that includes the community and the URL. So that's the first part. Then I'm going to download the contents of that homepage. So here I'll be able to take the URL, and essentially I want to Make.com to go to this page and grab the HTML of this page. Right? What I'm going to do next is pass along the information that I grab from that. So I'm going to let's use Claude, create a prompt. And I'm going to say something along the lines of, first of all, I'm going to specify the tokens. Let's go with the maximum. And I'm going to say something along the lines of, how many members does this community have based on this homepage? Only output the number. I also want the price, which should also be a number. So that's essentially what I'm interested in. I want the output to be in JSON format. So I'm going to say output in JSON format as follows. Members goes here, or members go here. Price goes here. The price should only be an integer number. I'm repeating this because when I was testing it, if it was free, it was sometimes returning a string free, which was giving me an error. So like this, I say price is 0. I'm also going to include this, which I always do. Don't include anything else. First character should be open curly bracket, and the last character should be close curly bracket. And then it's going to pass the data from the previous module. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to parse the data. Since it's in JSON, I need to parse that information. So I'm going to pass the text response. And just for testing purposes, let's put 1 record. So we're able to see if this is working. So here, this grabbed the Porsche friends. And if this is correct, it should say 902 members and it is free. So 902 and 0. So this is great. So now all that remains is that I need to enter this information, 902 and 0, into the corresponding table right here. So I need to have today's date, which, okay, what I need to do actually is copy this, delete the table, and then duplicate this one. So I have the right information here. So here I need to insert today's date, insert the number of members, which is 902, and the price, which is 0. So then each time I run this, it would keep adding a new record right here. Now, this, in a way, runs me into an issue, because if I go to create a record here with Airtable, essentially I need to choose my base, which is Skool tracker BT. The problem is that I need to choose a table. And in this case, I know that I want to insert into Porsche friends, but when this is running, I don't want to have to do this manually. I wanted to find that Porsche friends, which is the community. The insertion should happen automatically. I don't want to go here and keep choosing that manually. And unfortunately, there's no way to map this to a number using this create a record field. So what I'm going to do is add a few changes. In our table, each database and each table has a specific record ID. And I'm going to use that in order to know where I'm going to insert my information. What this also means is that I need to make one change to my master list here. I need to add the table ID, which will be in single line text. And all this means is that when I create this table, which can either be done programmatically, as I said, or manually, I need to be able to grab the table ID of that specific table. So to do that, all I need to do is go to Airtable Web API, and there is this documentation here. Here you can choose your specific database, which also gives you access to the database ID and the table ID. So if I search for my Skool tracker BT right here, I get the base ID, which is this, and then I have the list of tables here. So let's keep a record of this. So that's the base ID. And then, in this case, this will be added to the Porsche friends, which will be this table ID. So going back here, I know that Porsche friends has this table ID, and longevity of motion has this table ID. So now if I go back to my make scenario and I reconfigure this, I can grab the table ID as well, which means that over here, I can then do an API call to my database. So here it says enter path relative to that. And if I look here at this documentation, I know that to create a record, I need to use this right here. I also know that if I look at Airtable API, so with Airtable, the documentation is top-notch, but there are two different APIs that unless I'm missing something. There's the API, which is the general documentation. And there is the Airtable Web API, which so essentially one gives you all the information you need for your specific situations. The other is more of a general API. So this create record, we know that this is the endpoint that we need to reach. So it's a post method and it goes to that endpoint. And here you'll see that this is the whole URL we need to reference. So let me remove the quote. I'll just grab that and it's a post. So I go here, paste that in, and here it's saying that it should start from V0. So I'm going to remove this. And here I have my base, which I know is this. And for table ID, I know that I will get it from my Airtable module. So I'm going to paste that in. I know this is post, and that's pretty much it. And then all I need to do is grab this part right here, because this will be the way to insert a record into my Airtable. If I go to a website like JSON-Lint, in order to, first of all, make this look better, validate it, and all I need is one record. So I can delete that, I can delete that, and I think I can delete that. And like this, it should be valid, right? Good. So now if I go back here and paste that in, I know that I'll be able to insert one record in the right table, in the right database, according to the information here. And I also know that what I want to insert is the following. I want to insert members, I want to insert price. So the fields will be members and price. Since these are numbers, I can remove the quotes and I can insert members like so and price like so. I can delete that and technically that should work. So let's save that. Let's run it again. Let's go back to Porsche Friends and let's hit run once and see if that actually works. What I haven't done, so that works. What I haven't done is insert the date of today. So let's go back and do that. So delete. So here I also have the date field, which I can either insert technically through make.com or I can also default to current date here. So probably that's an easier way to do it. So now if I were to run this again, I should get today's date added, 902 as members, and the price, which was 0. So that is working correctly. If I were to run this for longevity of motion, so let's say that I want to grab 2 records, and just for testing, I only want this to continue if the community is equal to longevity of motion. So like so, if I save and run this and go back here, this should now, okay, that didn't pass through. Did I update bundles too? Yep. Porsche Friends, bundle 2. Okay, let's have a look. Master list, longevity, okay. Of course there are, these additional records. Let's try again. And now, if I go to longevity of motion, that should add the information right there. So 342 and 595. Again, we need to ensure that this defaults to today's date. You can also delete the additional rows. So now, if we confirm that longevity of motion, 342 members at 595 per year. Okay. So if you additions that could potentially make. You could change this to text. So as we saw, here is 595 per year, while the other was free. There are other groups where the price is per month. So that's one thing to potentially do. Other thing would be to, as soon as you add a record here, you grab the table or you add the new table based on the community name, and then you insert the table ID right here. So that can also be done manually. Obviously, the next thing to do would be to decide how often you want to run this. So you can run this, for example, every day. So over time, you get the number of days, the number of members and prices, and then you can run some data, some statistics from that. So there's a lot you can do with this. The point is that with this base, you can then build on top of it and have a way to track data over a period of time. And this idea can be extended to anything, not just obviously Skool, as long as you have a page which is somewhat static and the numbers are changing. You can have a mixed scenario that over time grabs the data, stores it into a database, and then you can get the information you need from that like data over time. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. And if you want to get started with your own AI and automation business and using the latest technology to grow and scale your own business, check out the link in the description. In the meantime, I'll speak to you soon.